Welcome to the video made by Professor Hope Harrison's history class on the two Germanys and the Cold War.
Hello, this is the Elliott School of International Affairs at the George Washington University, located in the heart of Washington, D.C. We're studying the history of a partitioned Germany during the Cold War from 1945 to present. We're really excited to take part in the celebration of the 25th anniversary of the fall of the wall.
So I just became fascinated by the Berlin Wall and how on earth a city could be divided by a wall. I say, imagine if Washington, D.C. suddenly had a wall in the middle of it. It could even be in the middle of our campus. And suddenly you couldn't get to the other side. I really wanted to come to understand how could this possibly have come to be.
In this video, we'll take you on a short tour of some of the many places in Washington, D.C. where you can see pieces of the Berlin Wall. Located on the National Mall, this museum has some pieces of wall on loan from the Allied Museum in Berlin.
Outside of Germany, there are 146 locations where there are pieces of the Berlin Wall, with nearly half of them being in the United States, and this one being the largest on public display.
The part of the wall behind us comes from the section in Kreuzberg, Berlin. Here's the original site of the wall that you see behind us.
This watchtower stood near the famous border crossing known as Checkpoint Charlie.
Right behind me, the Capitol stands, right along the inauguration route here on Pennsylvania Avenue. Just a few feet from us stands the guard tower that once prominently stood next to Checkpoint Charlie. Now behind me, you'll see one of the only guard towers in the world, and in fact, the only one on display in the United States. This one here happened to be close to Checkpoint Charlie.
The museum also has one of the anti-vehicle barriers to show the efforts to stop buses and trucks and cars, because we know there were cases where people in an entire bus burst through the barrier, and the East Germans wanted to make sure that could not happen anymore.
I think it's important, especially here, to be in the capital of the United States, because America and Germany, we still share a lot of the same ideals. We have a lot of the same values, and you know, having these here is a reminder that, you know, oppressive regimes and trying to suppress people's freedoms is never going to last.
That was an incredible experience. I was on a plane on a long planned trip from New York to Frankfurt to Berlin when the wall came down. Suddenly the pilot got on the microphone and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, in case you haven't heard, the Berlin Wall fell last night, and we are flying into history."
Described as one of the most electrifying moments of her life, my mother, a veteran of the U.S. Army, was stationed in Berlin on November 9th, 1989, which at the same time was her birthday, and describes it as one of the most exciting electric moments she's ever witnessed, and to this day still holds the piece of the Berlin Wall that she chipped off as a prized possession and collection of the family.
So here we are in the Ronald Reagan building in Washington, D.C. What many Americans think is the main reason the wall came down, because Ronald Reagan said it should come down in 1987. Of course, most historians and as most Germans believe Gorbachev played a bigger role in that, and of course these German people themselves, than President Reagan. Here is the plaque with this piece of the wall in the Reagan building.
As you can see, this is the east side of the wall, and it's actually painted, which is sort of rare. It was painted after the fall of the wall in celebration of the fall. I think what the wall teaches us is that anything can happen in the blink of an eye. No one thought East and West Germany would ever be divided. No one thought the wall would ever come up, and no one thought it would ever come down.
To me, it's a symbol that oppressive regimes everywhere will come to an end and that they don't last.
The peaceful fall of the wall has become a symbol for people around the world, that things that you didn't think could ever end, bad things, that you thought could never end, harsh systems could never end, that in fact they could.
Berliners, thank you for tearing down this wall.